Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of the Wealth Savant Show. I'm Breoni Winchester, and this is Perry Mardon. And as we know, Perry has a unique ability to see things that other people simply don't see. Last week, we went deep on my own wealth challenges, my own wealth patterns, which has been astounding for me. And this week, we return to our format of 2 questions for Perry, and then we're going to bring in a special guest, Nicole, who Perry is going to read. So we start with a technical question. Are you ready, Perry?
I am.
Let's see what you know. Our first question is, if you lost everything tomorrow, what would you build first?
Do you mean in forms of when you say lost everything? Do you mean business and income, or do you
Yep,
mean
both.
family? Like that's a yeah. If you lost everything,
I think let's just focus on business and income.
what would I build? That's a great question, and I love the immediacy of just asking questions that are so random. Um, I would go to build trust with specific people as quickly as possible. Now, that's just a basic foundation of business because I have to have a bunch of people that trust me before I can make any income. So, does that answer your question? I would be focusing on delivering something that builds trust in people so I could sell to them.
You wouldn't even start with an idea for a business, with what you're going to sell, with where's a gap in the market, with anything like that. You just go out and build trust.
Well, I'd keep doing what I do. So, if I lost everything, I have a particularly unique set of skills. And because I have a particularly unique set of skills, I can organize. I have a unique set of skills, and that's provided me with a unique set of knowledge. So I don't kind of move from that framework. I just start tomorrow and find ways of building people, uh, building a database of people that trust me, that are interested in what I have to offer. It would be that simple as a priority. Yeah.
So that's an interesting way to start, 'cause you're starting with the audience and not the product. What does building a database of people get you?
Um, well, building databases traditionally is that we're doing things, or we're giving away things, or we're providing content to people, education, or that helps someone understand. Uh, in For me, how what I do helps them. So by giving good content, getting them onto a database, that means I can now control the relationship with them. So as an example, a database is always backed up with email marketing. And email is a free and easy way to continue to build relationships with people. And from that, they've got social media profiles, there's WhatsApp. And so you're able to build relationships. And if you build relationships effectively and properly, money's just made naturally.
And I feel like once you've got an audience, you could almost sell that trusts you. You could sell them anything. The product becomes irrelevant. It's about building that tribe or that community around you, which you've done.
Yes, but that's true. But I couldn't separate purpose and meaning from building a database because that's just who I am. So what I mean by that, uh, well, coming back to your question, I've seen many people build databases and sell stuff. So yes, you can do that. Um, I like selling stuff, but selling stuff has to be meaningful to me. Right? Like, what am I providing? How am I providing value? What am I contributing? I'm here to give something. So I want people on my databases that can use the knowledge that I have. And to be honest, I'm very, a lot of people are scared of me because of what I know. So um, to build businesses, you do it best when you don't have an ego that needs validation, gratification. because you'll make purely strategic decisions. Like last week, we talked about identity, and most people have an identity. And if you've got an identity you want to protect, then that takes a lot of energy and effort. And if you come across me, I'm going to see what you can't see, and it mightn't help you. It won't fit with your view of self. I remember last week you said something to me like when I pointed out that you might be wanting success as a way of hiding from low self-worth. And you said, well, that's mean. Well, and afterwards you could see how true what I
Mm,
said was. I actually
mm,
mapped that out into a tactical. I showed you how that particular pattern interfered with good tactics within your business. So you went at the end, you went, well, without me seeing how this low self-worth might drive these behaviors into my business, I could never change. But that means that you've got to hear uncomfortable information that didn't fit with your self view. So I'm hugely effective with people that are past having to have being identified as something or somebody, which you can dig into if you want more, because then they want to hear their self identity is not what is in the way of them making the changes that need to be made to make
mm,
the businesses more successful.
mm.
Okay,
I feel
because
like we're really good at building businesses that feed our egos, but what percentage of business owners build a business that's meaningful to them? And should you do that?
well, I don't know. I can't use a rule like should, okay, because everyone's different. All I can tell you from my perspective and in my experience, if I build a business based on what's fulfilling to me and what's meaningful to me, um, it will mean that I have energy for it, that I have an energy for it other than something shallow or just making money. And I understand that when I'm in alignment, being who I am, using the gifts that I have to help other people see what they can't see and it's stopping them in their business or their investing, that's what I am and that's my greatest act of service. There's a certain percent of the population that don't like truth. In fact, we're living in a world at this point in time that seems very anti-truth on all levels of leadership. Um, and but the truth is required to change. So we have to, as business owners, own behaviours and ways of operating that aren't serving us. And to own means that you might be upset with yourself. You've got to see things you don't like about yourself. So from my perspective, that's alignment for me. So that means it brings an energy to it. It's not just about money. I don't have anything against money. In fact, I love money, but it's I'm a vehicle for something. So that's just how I operate. And I would also say that I've worked with thousands of entrepreneurs, and those in mission. And a mission is an internal state because you understand what you're here to do and give. They just operate quite differently to someone that's just selling stuff. Okay. um, and I think coming back to what you started with before about building trust, if you're in the selling stuff business, uh, if you don't have a lot of meaning, I think people will pick that up. And I think that people pick up when you're in alignment and you're doing things because it's meaningful. Another thing I can say to that, if you're in alignment, it's meaningful to you, you'll tend to be an expert at it because you're putting all your effort and energy into, like, I've just had a huge interest in human behavior since I was a kid, and I've had a huge
Mm.
interest in human behavior because I had challenges to overcome in my life, and so I had to find out about me and how to change this thing, and so I've just had a huge interest in that. Yeah. So
Same.
I've answered. We sort of went all over the place, but you were asking some deep questions.
Yeah, the first thing you'd build is trust. If you lost everything, you'd reestablish the trust.
I just have to build trust, yeah, because I understand that if people trust me, they'll buy from me, And the caveat to that, of course, is that I have something. So people on my database must want something that they can't get now, that they can get through me, as an example. I mean, that's a very simple thing to say, but it's like you sell pimple cream. You need people with pimples, right? It's that simple, isn't it?
The old pimple cream, mate, that's a trillion-dollar business now. Okay,
Yeah.
we're going to move on to a patterns question because we've got Nicole
Cool.
in our waiting room ready to be read by you next. The question is, why do capable people stay small?
Again, there are many reasons for that, and you actually have to sit down with the individual, because we're all programmed by different things and we all grow up in different environments. So there's a whole bunch of reasons why. However, I can probably move into some stories that might help one understand this. And one that's coming to mind is an investor I worked with. And this is a great story to highlight certain things, and it will cover bases with a whole bunch of topics. So this particular person, she got out of corporate, and within 3 to 4 years, she was financially free from property investing. And the organization that coached her and trained her to become a good property investor, they sort of put her out there as one of their star advocates because she'd done so well. She's a lovely lady. And she came to me, again, the organization sent her to me because she built that wealth really quickly, and then she hit a ceiling, and she couldn't go past that ceiling in income. And this is quite an interesting story, and it's actually a good one to come up after what we worked with last week. So I went in to diagnose her subconscious, and I could see what was causing her to suddenly not produce the same results. She also told me that she had issues with motivation. She said, I got to a certain point of wealth and then the motivation just dropped off. And so that's a pattern. If she's achieved it, that she achieved that success quickly and then didn't, that means there's a financial ceiling. In fact, for whatever reason, I've got Nicole coming in here, and their financial ceilings already just come into my mind in regards to Nicole. Okay. So why do people have financial ceilings? Well, on a subconscious level, and again, people watching this, you don't know what's in your subconscious. The best way you can tell what's in your subconscious is through the sensations in your body. And the sensations sort of point to, if you feel a bit uncomfy or nervy, it usually means there's a subconscious belief triggered. Okay, so this particular person, to go over that ceiling would give her anxiety, and she wouldn't know why. Okay, but that starts to point to the pattern, the subconscious pattern. So I'll go to the setup story. So she grew up in a rural environment, in a like a small town, rural supply town in Australia. And we all know what times were like back then, because it was a very patriarchal, a strong Christian culture in small Australian rural towns. And men were men and women were supposed to serve their men. And this is a conditioning factor that is all through those rural areas through the 1950s, 1960s, and 1970s. So this young girl was quite brilliant, high intelligence. And she learned that her friends didn't like her high intelligence. The girls didn't like her high intelligence, and the boys didn't like her high intelligence. The boys and the men didn't like her high intelligence because they perceived it made her uppity and was a threat to the role that they wanted her to play as the good woman that serves men. Someone with that much intelligence who's doing well. You get where I'm going.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you could go and speak to these men and say you're what do you call it? You're a sexist or whatever the word is, and they go, no, we're not. but they are. That's what the conditioning factors of the time sort of created in them. Old
Mm.
school, call it now. So
Misogynist.
yeah, misogynistic,
Mm.
sexist.
Mm.
Um, uh, Women weren't really allowed passions, so because passions, yeah, this is really interesting stuff. Remember, this
Mm.
was the same period that the person I'm talking about probably is a little bit younger than, say, some of the women I've worked with in that period. Like when they were kids, they'd get pregnant, and the parents would send their pregnant kid
Mm.
away 6 months. They'd disappear them in 8 months because it brought shame on the family. So it's that sort of period. And the client I'm talking about, that was probably another 10 years on top of that. But so here she is in the town. She learned not to stand out. Okay, not to stand out. Bear with me. Do not show my intelligence because it triggers people and they want to knock me down. Okay, does that make sense to you?
Mm.
Let's add in something else.
Not physically knock her down, but just push her off a stool.
You push her off a stool, and that was basically the
Mm.
thing. Don't get too big for your boots, and
Mm.
not being a woman. What is a good
Mm.
woman? Well, a good woman
Mm.
is outperforming the man. I know this is
Mm.
ridiculous, but that's part of the conditioning factors. And then I bring in another one here. Oh, that's right. A good woman shouldn't be successful because it means she's not a good mother. Now, you just held your breath. Then, did you notice that, Bree?
Yeah, I'm still holding it.
Yeah. So have you ever seen anything
What?
like that? Well, think about it, right? So
Yeah.
if you want to control the feminine to look after the family, you don't want them out there being breadwinners. This is before the lady was out a little job down at the corner takeaway for 4 hours a week, but you weren't supposed to be some big, executive or super brain, because you're not going to be a good mum. That was part of that construct. And then finally, viewpoints around wealth. So in small rural towns, and you've had a bit to do with small rural towns from
Mm.
yeah. So what
Yep,
happens if
my
someone
parents.
it's like what I said to you the other day. It's like, so what do they say about the wealthy?
Oh, yeah, that
Yeah, got it.
they're the devil, basically.
Yeah, yeah, correct, correct.
Mm.
So here we are, modern days. This lady, she built wealth, got to the point where she could semi-retire, but she wanted nice things, but she couldn't go to that next level of wealth because on a subconscious level, it was equated with her being a bad mum. It was equated with her being an evil, wealthy person, and it was equated with her standing out. And if you stand out, you get knocked down. I must fit in. These are now again, just for those watching this, she didn't know she had this. This is subconscious. Easy to map back into childhood, easy for her to understand that's what she grew up with, but these messages stay in the subconscious forever, and they were controlling her actions as an adult. Yeah.
So
So that
until you
stay small because you've learned that if you get big, you'll get rejected. But there's also other things there, like if you've got low self-worth, with low self-worth, then subconscious will want to mirror that in the outer world. If you don't think you're any good, even if you don't know that's happening, because you've got compensatory strategies. As an example, very arrogant or very, very confident people can be masking low self-worth. Now, low self-worth, everything in the subconscious must prove itself to be true. Okay, all beliefs want to prove themselves to be true. Subconscious ones more so because they operate habitually outside of your awareness, and they operate as truths, controlling behaviors. Does that make sense? So that's
yeah.
why the subconscious will always express outwardly through behaviors, but you're not seeing what drives those behaviors, so you don't sense the sabotage of it all. Yeah.
So, just on that sabotage, until you work with someone to help them understand these patterns, what does it feel like for them? Does it just feel like frustration that I can't get beyond this ceiling of wealth, or frustration that I can't, build a successful business and sustain it? Like, how does it manifest, these patterns manifest
Well,
without us knowing?
I think that's a very good question. In reality, I don't think most people know. So what do I mean by that? Right. Okay. So what most people experience is a set of results. That's all, a set of results. And then they might rationalize why they have those results. I'll extend to this, your question more. And because they're not seeing what drives their behaviors, they're not, or drives their actions. So that all you can see
Yeah.
is the result. Okay. Now, what will happen for most people is they're getting poor results. So they'll go away and get technical training, which makes sense, doesn't it? And so they'll get more technical training.
Mm,
But what they'll
mm.
start to see is that the results still don't shift. Okay. And at this point, if you were somewhat wise, you would go, what is it in me that's contributing to this that I can't see? I mean, look what's on the screen. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Okay. That's what it is. So we backward engineer. Why is this happening? Okay, we're going to tie this into an earlier message too. So maybe I've got to look inside. What's driving these behaviors? Now, that would be the start of revealing the subconscious, or as Carl Jung saying here, the unconscious, and what is driving these things. Okay. And that's when things start to shift and change. Does that kind of answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
But I'm
no,
not
but also I want to
like
say this, it's really important. Most people don't want to look inside because of
correct.
identity. Okay, right. So what they're going to do, people will blame the government or blame the economy or blame this. Now, of course, from an egoic perspective, that's great because you get to be the victim. You get to be angry at someone else or something else. Again, it's not about you. And that's a more of an immature ego. Sort of said before, people like that don't really like me. Because I'm a real confront to their identity. I have this all the time, especially with rationalists, right? And I'm an intellectual human being, academic. But the rationalists are the least likely to know what's in their subconscious. So, they'll come to me and they keep telling me all these stories about why they haven't got what they've gotten as business owners and investors. And it's just stories because the truth is they're not entering the subconscious, but it lets them off the hook. Okay, so as an example, a really good one. Is business owners blaming staff. Yeah, so they all walk around, they blame staff, can't get good staff, can't get good staff. And I ask them, who chose the staff? Okay, they go, well, I did. Well, why did you choose such bad staff? Okay, now we're moving into level of ownership, aren't we? Great. Okay. Well, by the way, and I'm going to say this because I just get sick of it, right? I prefer to work with people that want action and quickly, and I can't be bothered so much. I don't have the patience for it anymore. I'm too good at what I do. Why should I waste my energy on people that aren't willing to own what's going on? So they're just not for me. Okay.
What percentage of business owners or entrepreneurs actually do go, "Oh, this might be a me problem," do you reckon? Is it like 2%?
I couldn't qualify. I think, like I'd probably look at the world and I feel sadness in me when I say this. And the sadness is I just see so much needless suffering because people just keep playing out these patterns that they won't own. Everyone's just out there. Everyone else is the problem. I'm not the problem. No one wants to look at themselves or work on themselves because it requires one to be really honest about oneself. And most people don't like a lot of self-honesty because they're highly identified in what we might call positionality or a view of self, right? So if I have to think of myself as a good person, like I'm a good person, that probably means that subconsciously I think I'm a bad person, right? So anyone that frames up that I'm a good person, subconsciously probably feels like a bad person, and so they're identified with being a good person. And now this becomes very black and white. And so if Perry comes along and says, hey, maybe have a look inside because you could be choosing this because you've got this belief system and, again, that brings it to them and they're like, no, that makes me a bad person. I don't want to hear about that. And it's actually quite simple in that way. It's like the ego doesn't want to hear things because it ruins its image of
Mm,
itself, you see,
mm,
which is also an interesting conversation in itself because we want to show the world an ego, a positionality, and we want to show ourselves a positionality until we don't. And when we don't, we're usually way freer because we've come to some form of self-acceptance and self-love, and we understand there's no perfection. I mean, Perry Mardon can't be perfect right here, right now. He's a work in progress, right? So what's the big deal about owning something else that's in me that's blocking me from getting this or being that or doing or achieving that? But then you have to be okay with yourself. And then you can be quick, and then you just tell yourself the truth without any egoic pushback. See, as an example, most people you'll work with, you'll point something out to them, and then you'll see the judge comes in and they don't like themselves for what I've just helped them learn about themselves because it's a weakness and I'm not perfect. Yeah.
Yep. A strong inner critic.
Yes.
I mean, just from reading your book and obviously talking to you, the wisest thing you can do as a business owner or entrepreneur is know yourself intimately. Know everything about yourself intimately. I
Well,
just
well,
know that.
I would say as a human being, if you want to have good relationships, if you wanted to have good health, if you wanted to have any mastery over what you create in the world, you have to have mastery over what is in you that creates that in the world, and that requires a deep sense of understanding of self, and that will lead you to the point where you are no longer your personality. You're not identified with your personality. You will come to the observer position. So as the observer, you watch your personality, and you're less identified with the personality.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that word self-mastery. We should go into that in future.
Well,
Because
there's
once you've
just
got
mastery.
self-mastery, yeah, once you've got self-mastery, it helps in every aspect of your life. And I know because I'm slowly learning.
It's also interesting, by the way, that sense of self-mastery, you get to a certain level, and what is the self that's being mastered? But that's a harder thing because
Yeah.
there is another sense that when you do a lot of internal work, that something else starts driving you. Um, and and yeah, maybe talk about that on some other. I can see your face. You want to talk about
Episode 3. Yeah. A
that?
whole other podcast series. Absolutely. All right. So we've got Nicole waiting in the waiting room. If you want to bring her on
Sure.
and you're going to read her sight unseen. Hi, Nicole. Oh, we're just having a bit of trouble hearing you. Did you mute yourself while you were in the waiting room? If so, I'm glad.
No, I hit the
That's
button on my microphone.
Right. Right.
I'm good at that too. Hi, Nicole. Thank you for coming
Hello,
on in
hello.
to the show. So, Nicole, you're in fact our first guest who's joined us externally. I was the guest last week. It was amazing. So, thank you for joining us. And the point of this section is really for us to understand a bit about what you do, a bit about your wealth goals, and then Perry's going to have a chat to you. Perry's going to see if he can read you and help you get unstuck or help you with something you might need help with. So just if you're willing, tell us a little bit about what you do. It can be generic industry, whether
Mhm.
you're a business owner, just let us know a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, well, I've just always been self-employed. That's how I grew up with my parents. So I feel a lot more secure working for myself than others. I find, anyway, I had some small bouts of working for other people. I feel like it's selling my soul. So, but I was always creative, so I always assumed that I would always be broke, but I'd always be happy. So when I did have my last big successful business, that's how it started. I just thought I would be broke, but really happy. It was a really fun thing that I was doing, and it became huge. I had a 10-year whirlwind ride of success until it ended up in overwhelm and breakdown and totally just workaholism, overachieving. I just had to sell everything and run away. And
What does
Wow.
success look like to you in that period where you were successful in your mind? What was
well,
what
in the
was
beginning, like I was just had the smile on my face the whole time, and I realized that other people around me in the I was consulting and manufacturing my own stuff, but I was around a lot of other people that I was involved with in the industry. And, they didn't like to see people smiling all the time. It wasn't serious business, I'm like, no, just bugger that. I'm having a great fun time here. And it never about the money. It was always about having fun and being of service. But, ego gets in the way after a while, and you start, making a lot of money and borrowing a lot of money and buying expensive cars and having a lot of things to maintain. And then when things went pear-shaped, and it was just, I'd created a monster and I couldn't hold on to the wheel. It was a runaway train. And then things went bad. And things change too when you have to employ staff, whereas I was always just a creative and I never expected to make money. And then suddenly I was a people manager and I wasn't very good at that.
You've done the job. I don't have to read you now. So you go. Even your words, you'll see when we get into the words you're using. Yeah, great.
Yeah. So, I sold everything 20 odd years ago, ran away to the mountains for a year off to lick my wounds. And, 10 years later, I still didn't know what to do with myself and I'd run out of money. And since then, the last 10 years or so, I've been, fiddling with a few different things. And every time I create something, I seem to sabotage it and go, yeah, no, I don't want to do that after I've spent 2 years putting it together, like digital businesses and things like that. And I'm watching myself do it again. And I've gone back into doing like transformational coaching work for people, but I'm just setting myself up with over preparing and never getting into anything. I feel like I've got the handbrake on because I don't want to get back into I don't want to experience that overwhelm ever again or something like that. But
that's exactly, so you said it. We're going to work off the back of what you've just communicated about. So there's actually a lot to talk about. So we'll just go into say some of the most important things that are showing up. When you had that burnout experience, so a decision was made. Do you know what that decision was?
I don't know, but I'm feeling it in my chest, like I want to cry.
Right. Okay. So you stay there. Right. So you see that. Good. Okay. Yeah. Okay. What was the pain like after you experienced that loss? Things not working out.
Well, I was in a total state of depression, and I sort of knew what that was because I'd been there before. But I also had anxiety, and even just an ad on TV about a bank, money.
Yeah, that's true.
It put me into a state of anxiety, and I'd never experienced that horrible monster before. Got past all of that, but
no, I can sense it. Okay, so you can sense, can you sense that there's still trauma held in the body from that experience? By the way, yeah, great.
Yeah, no, this is brilliant. This as much as I look for these things, I've never got this. What you just when you ask that question, it's like profound.
Great. Also want to ask you a question, then I'm going to go somewhere else. After you had the crash and you went into you had all the emotions that you had, in what way did that feel like an experience in childhood for you? When in childhood, did you ever have this experience of being really overwhelmed, out of control?
No, I think I had a very pretty innocent and creative, nice childhood.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll cut you off just for speed. If I was working with normally, I wouldn't cut you off, but just for the show, I'm not being rude. Great. Okay, great. Just so you know, you made a subconscious decision. You'll never let that happen again. Okay, that's why it's in your body. Does this make sense to you? Now you're shutting your breath down. You've just shut your breath down.
Yeah.
So I've thrown something at you, and you shut your breath down when I threw it at you. Do you know why?
It's it's scary to go there because there's some beliefs that I'm protecting.
Correct. So you held the breath because I said something that was bringing the feelings up from your body, and you heard what Bree and I had just been talking about. So where yours is a bit different. You're not that egoic around your identity, but you don't want to feel the feelings that are coming up that I've just triggered, because the decision was I never want to experience that again. And you see, again, even as I've said it, where's it feeling to your body right now?
Yeah, so it's just in my chest, and I'm just relating back to that. It's just darkness of depression and being out of control and not.
Correct. We're going to get into out of control because that's a big part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't want to let control. You don't want to lose control. Losing control is really scary to you because the last time you did it, you end up burnt up and felt like a deep failure. You actually ended up in yeah, great, okay. So I've actually read your book. How that is the pattern that's playing out. I'm going to go back to that time. I'm going to help you see why you had the crash you had, and I'll help you understand the learning lesson in it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Super.
Yeah. So you're creative, and as a creative, you're not a traditional business builder. So we can look at 4 hats. I think it was Keith Armstrong that first came up with this. This is something I use all the time. So there's the technician hat. So right at this moment in time, I'm a technician. I'm Perry, who can diagnose people's subconsciouses and can do consulting. That's me. That's my skill set. So as a technician, that's what I do. Okay. Now, I can go and build a business around my technician, but it's not really a business. Okay, I'm just trading time for money, trading expertise in a particular way. I also have a CEO hat and an investor hat. I'm going to go to the investor hat. The investor hat looks at things financially. It only looks at things financially. And it says, Perry, how much are you investing into this? What is the risk profile? And how much of a return is going to get? And how fast am I going to get that return? That's what that part says. Okay. Now you're holding your breath right now. Right now. Can you see you're holding your breath right now?
Mm.
Beautiful. So I've got that hat. And then that hat talks to another hat in me. These are all in me, and we can say these are sub-personalities or characters or personas within my consciousness. So I've got the investor. I learned all the stuff the hard way, right? So I've got the investor because this manages my money and helps me make good decisions. The CEO reports to the investor. Now, my CEO couldn't care less about my ability to read people, and nor should it. My CEO, that's in me, doesn't care about my skill set other than, Perry, how do you market this and make a lot of money for it to pay back the investor? Now, there's a few breaths being held, including Bree's at the moment. Okay. Now, what this does is it creates safety because I'm bringing an investor and CEO into a business, and I'm bringing in the technician that's got an expertise. The CEO helps me package up my expertise in a way that creates either very good income one-to-one, or it creates ways of creating scalable and leverage income. Okay, does that make sense to you, Nicole? So now I can you, right? So you've got a creator. You didn't have those things in place. Your success came from the creator, and there was a lack of structure, system, and organization in what you were involved with, and that crashed and burnt. Because, right, does this make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, is there anything
it was
there?
All emotion.
Yeah. Is there anything there that I've said that you think's untrue, or do you think it's fairly true what I'm looking at?
No, it's fairly true. I was, absolutely. It was all emotionally driven.
Yeah, correct.
The practicality.
This is why when you go out there and start to do things, it starts to go, I must stay safe. As an example, it'll make health a priority. It'll make health a priority. Also, I know that sometimes you've gone out to build something again and you start to get run down and you start to get symptoms in your subconscious. So I've got to look after myself. Okay, does that make sense? And I'll finish. Is that true? Yes or no?
Yeah. Yes.
Right. That's scary. Did I know that? Is that true? Yeah, great. Okay.
No, that's true. It's good. It's good to have it identified.
Okay, and then I'll just finish this
more
off. You
clearly.
see? Yeah, okay. Now, part of that's about support. I'm not going to go into that. We'll leave that. You just held your breath. Support. Okay. So an entrepreneur won't burn out because an entrepreneur asks for support. So who will do this so I can't? Who will do this so I don't have to? Or what system will do it so I don't have to? Okay. Now, something in you, again, if we come back to, God, it was fast, eh? I'm even going to give myself gold stars.
Is Nicole laughing or crying or both?
Probably a bit of both because she's just gone that.
Yeah, my back is just aching at the thought of staff, or
Yeah.
support or
Yeah, correct. See? Yeah, great. So basically, if you had an
Mm.
experience you haven't come back from, really, to this point. Yeah.
No. I've had great staff, but I had terrible experiences, and even when I've had, virtual assistants in the last 5 years, just dipping my toe in the water with that sort of thing, oh my God, it's just hasn't been a great experience.
No, but again, I've had a wonderful experience with staff.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
So investor hat.
Yeah,
Well,
thank you.
I'll leave that. My investor hat knows little about people, but my CEO hat, combined with my technician skills of reading people and understanding people, means that from a CEO, I have very good recruitment system. In fact, I have recruitment systems that companies use company-wide to ensure really perfect staff fit. So again, see, this is about knowledge.
Mm.
Okay, Bree,
Yeah.
how are we time? What do you need?
I feel like Nicole's experience is so common for people who accidentally create a monster because they're so good at what they do, and then suddenly find themselves as recruiters, as people managers, as business development managers, as HR, as everything to everyone. And it's little wonder they burn out. So I
Cool.
guess Nicole's obviously in her subconscious is this terror of success again because of what it did to her mentally and physically. How does she now redefine what success looks like for her?
Well, I don't know if it's about redefining yet. And again, maybe it's above the scope of what I would do right here and now because I would take time. I'm not a flippant person, you know that, Bree. I would have to really spend time with Nicole. I can probably do some things here now, but that's a big, huge conversation that comes into all kinds of things, like what's she here to do?
Mm.
How does she overcome these traumatic experiences? Yeah, it's a big conversation.
Yeah. What
Yeah,
feels safe for her now? Nicole, did you learn anything then?
A lot. Yeah, no, it was, it's all wonderful experiences, even though I've got, the baggage still, or some of the baggage still. But, yeah, no, it was great, and I really feel like I'm ready to go. It's like I just wanna get back up on the horse and go and do things. But
the way
there's
that I can say it, yeah, I can give you this.
that
It's like,
handbrake. Yeah.
yeah. So first of all, I would ask her what it is she loves. I won't do this now because of time, but I'd be wanting to know exactly what she loves, what's really meaningful to her.
Mm.
And there are some things here that I could say. I'd start with that. And once she had that, I don't think that's going to be hard for her to identify, by the way. Then secondly, I would be setting small business goals for her along that. I'll tell you why I would we wouldn't have we'd have her in hyper control while she builds out this thing that she loves, and keep her feeling safe in that while she explores the subconscious and all those past traumas. And if she was my private client, I'd be working with her over a year to 2 years within her business, taking into account what is she loves to give, what she loves to do, how she produces the income from that. And then as we start to help her understand the subconscious belief systems that are driving her, start to understand knowledge gaps, you start to train her about, as an example, helping her to understand who to recruit and why, giving her knowledge about how to recruit, how do you lead people. These are all the CEO skill sets that you learn over time. I'd be upskilling her in that while keeping her safe and not overwhelmed. But the big thing at this point in time is she's easily overwhelmed because of all the trauma that's still carried in the system. The moment that she starts to get a sense of out of controlness, these symptoms, and this comes back up, and it's trying to say, don't go out into the world. So you'd have to sensitively navigate that while she changed the subconscious so it didn't have those beliefs that were going, no, I don't want to go out into the world. No, I don't want to employ people again. No, I don't want to get larger again because it's all going to happen again, because that's actually what this is what they're saying. So I hope that answers it. Yeah.
It's so interesting because I just saw the duality of Nicole saying, I'm ready to get back on the horse. I'm ready to start again. I want to build a business. But then also the terror that Perry uncovered at the same time that's there, and it's working, it's integrating the two almost, isn't it?
Well, interesting, because if you watch her body, right, you can see her head said that. That's exciting. And there's a big part of it that does say that. And that's that part of the personality that she's used to start many businesses. I'll just give this because it's actually an admirable part of Nicole. Nicole's actually got a very positive, you'd get on with Nicole, Bree. You're both all positive, outgoing, people, creative, excited. And this part of her gets her inspired. And then she'll go so far in the endeavor, this will carry her into it. Look, she's probably smiling right now. Something will happen, or we'll get to a certain point, and then what's in her body will arise and start to strangle her inspiration, even turn her against the concept or the idea. So even right in front of us when she was excited, I could still see in the body the other subconscious messaging. She was freaking out, her subconscious messaging, when she was exclaiming her excitement about getting on the horse. The parts down below that is going, no way, this is dangerous. So she actually has, you'll see, conflict within her psyche. So the part that likes to go out in the world is deep conflict with the parts of her that want to hide and keep away and keep her safe up in the mountains, hiding from people in the world, as an introvert. And that's another interesting thing to say, because she's an extrovert introvert. So you told me. So she's extroverted, and then she has to have a lot of space and time on her own to get her energy back, and she processes a lot of information.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
That sounds familiar. Yes.
Yeah.
Nicole, thank you so much. You have been our first guest on the Wealth Savant show. So much to learn, so much to take away for you now. Good luck in your business journey. Perry, thank you so much. You've been listening to and watching episode 2 of the Wealth Savant show. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.